I call this work session of the San Marcos City Council to order. Today is Tuesday, December 16th. The time is 3 p.m. Ms. Trevino, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mr. Saul Gonzalez.
Here.
Ms. Garza. Mayor Houston.
Here.
Mr. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Mendoza.
Here.
Mr. Lorenzo Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
All righty. We will start with our citizen comment period. City Council will hear citizen comments at regular meetings, work sessions, and workshops. Persons wishing to speak must sign up prior to the meeting. If you're online, when it's almost your turn, there's going to be a pop-up question, and you will need to respond to that before you will be able to speak or turn on your video when we call on you. Speakers may speak once during citizen comment time period, may not yield time to others. You'll have 3 minutes to speak after you state your name, and there's a timer on the screen. You'll start in the green bar, and when you only have 20 seconds left, the timer will go to yellow, and you'll hear a little ping. When the timer is red, your time to speak is up, and a bell will ring loudly. If you hear a popping sound as you're speaking, please step back a little from the microphone. The mayor and council will endeavor to ensure that meetings are conducted in a courteous manner and in an atmosphere free of defamation, intimidation, personal insults, profanity, or threats of violence. If you do any of those, you will hear the gavel, and I will ask you to leave the council chambers. This is your warning. And today, we have several people who have signed up for our work session. I'm going to call all these names in order, just so you know where you are in the sequence. It's Virginia Parker, Rachel Sanborn, Rob Carruthers, Ana Juarez, Corey Nicholas, and John Mayberry. So, Virginia Parker, you are first today.
I have a couple handouts for y'all.
Okay.
And I apologize because my printer died. So for the gradient boundary survey and for the Parks and Wildlife packet, I only have one copy, so y'all can all look at that. And then I have a
Okay.
full copy for everyone on the other packet.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm Virginia Parker with the San Marcos River Foundation. And I wanted to come today. It's my son's birthday, so I have to go to his choir performance later, so I won't be at council tonight. So I'm just speaking on a couple items that y'all will be discussing tonight. The first thing is regarding data centers. I know that y'all are going to discuss a new an old project coming back, and the board's position is they just don't want any data centers at all. And then the second thing is regarding the THC letter discussing the Thompson Cape Dam and mill race. So I think tonight y'all will be discussing whether or not to write a letter of recommendation for this process. And we just want to give y'all a couple facts regarding the application that are inaccurate. And we gave the same details to the San Marcos Historical Preservation Committee. And so they're going to include these inaccuracies in their letter. And I really hope that you as council and mayor do the same with regards to your letter. The first thing is that nobody disputes the history in the area of Cape's Dam, Tonson's Island, the mill race. I mean, that is history of San Marcos. But several things are wrong with this particular application. The first one being on page 23 of the application, you can see that Exhibit A shows Cape's Dam directly tied to Smurf property, yet Smurf was not named as a landowner. In the packet that I've handed out to y'all, you can see a gradient boundary survey. So we paid to have a gradient boundary survey done, which clearly shows that part of Cape's Dam is on our land and it's on the high bank, which is very much the structural piece of that dam. So for us not to be named as a landowner is a problem with the application. The second thing is that it is the structural part of the dam, which is really important. The second major issue with this application is that a lot of the materials on the dam and in the mill race and on the skirt that's adjacent to Thompson's Island are materials that have no historical significance because they're contemporary materials. You can see in the packet, the large packet I've shown you, you can see Quikrete bags everywhere. And that's in the mill race, that's on the dam, and that's on the skirt adjacent to Thompson's Island. So work has been done on the dam for decades, and I think that calls into question this application. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rachel Sanborn.
Hi, Rachel Sanborn, 309 Summit Pass. I want to also speak to the THC letter of recommendation that they're asking you to provide to the THC Commission.
May I just state the THC is the Texas Historical Commission?
Texas Historical Commission.
Thank you.
And the letter before you tonight at council is coming from the Preservation Commission, who wants to forward it on to them as a recommendation. Virginia has addressed several of the issues regarding inaccuracies actually in the report. I do want to point out that there were 9 other dams on the upper San Marcos River. There are pieces and parts of dams all along the river, including on the River Foundation property from the Mattie Glover Dam. The actual crib dam structure made of timber is not considered to be a historically notable type of dam. As far as engineering goes, it was a low-cost, quick method, and it is used on a lot of dams all over Texas rivers and creeks. As she mentioned, they do not mention Smurf as a landowner on the critical page on 23, where it shows the map of the area. And I also want to address the upper end of the mill race right above the head gates. That area, as it illustrated on the maps that they provided, shows that that area has been significantly changed over time. A lot of it due not just to reconstruction, but to erosion and other factors which have actually widened the mill race considerably beyond its historical boundaries at one time. It's not related to the 1914 configuration. I totally dispute the idea that since the 1950s, this dam has been maintained and repaired to maintain those historical features. And as we're looking at it now, the functionality of it is totally off and does throw the river off in many ways as well, too. I do not think that this site, while the whole area is significant and there is great history related to the Thompsons and the Capes and the Stokes, there are also other archaeological features on that land that they're talking about that are probably much more significant and predate the Anglo settlements in the area that also should be taken into account. So while we don't dispute that the area is historical, I do think that the specific features they're talking about, both the dam and the upper section of the mill race, are no longer anything resembling what was assembled back in the early days when this dam was, even going back to the early 1900s when it was rebuilt at that time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rob Carruthers.
Good afternoon, Council and Mayor. My name is Rob Carruthers. I'm here to support the Airport Advisory Board recommendation on the naming of a new entrance to the San Marcos Regional Airport off of FM 110 for my father. I think he embodies some of the most valuable traits of honor, sacrifice, and service that our armed forces represent. He's a product of the Great Depression. He was working 6 days a week on a pig farm to help support his family and 3 sisters. He graduated from John Tyler High School in 1941. Shortly thereafter, he joined the Civilian Pilot Training Program as a civilian, but learning aviation skills. After Pearl Harbor, he joined the Army Air Corps at age 18, and in World War II, he served as a bombardier in the U.S. Army Air Corps and later as a navigator in the United States Air Force. During the World War II, he was flying a B-17, the Windy City Challenger, and his plane was shot down and it exploded on the way down. He was in free fall along with 3 other individuals who survived. They were quickly captured. This was over France, and he was taken to a POW camp in eastern Germany called Stalag Luft III, which is where the Great Escape occurred in April of 1944. After World War II, he moved back to Texas. He met my mother, Mary Lou Faye Bales, here in San Marcos. They were married at the First Baptist Church here in 1947. She was a graduate of San Marcos High School, class of 45. His military duties took him around the world, including Vietnam, where he flew over 101 combat missions. And in 1972, we moved back to San Marcos, where I went to San Marcos High School. I graduated here and went to Texas State as a pre-engineering major before going off to Texas A&M. He's been heavily involved in a lot of the philanthropy in the community, including an endowed scholarship at Texas State University. Interestingly enough, he is one of 3 POWs who are interred at the San Marcos Cemetery that were former POWs of World War II. This is per a article in the San Marcos Record from November last year. Anyway, I think we should support his naming. He's a native Texan, a 53-year resident of San Marcos, a veteran from World War II, and I think he embodies the best of what a veteran can be. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ana Juarez, and is she online, Ms. Trevino?
I'm here. Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. I'm here today on behalf of the San Pedro Cemetery Board
And your name?
My name is Ana Juarez,
Thank you.
and I live on Newberry Trail. So I am here on behalf of the San Pedro Cemetery Board and the San Pedro Volunteer and Events Committee. We just want to let you know that we support the City Council approval of a PID for the village at Posey Road. As you know, San Pedro is being surrounded by new road extensions, as well as expansions, including Posey Road, Be Back In, and Center Point. Some of you may already have seen the expansion of Posey Road, which is right across the street from us. As well, there are new housing and commercial developments coming in, again, right across the street, kind of between Posey Road and Center Point, as well as, between the outlet malls and our cemetery and kind of in other areas around there. So we are very concerned about protecting our historic cemetery, and we support a low-impact neighbor such as the village at Posey Road. We feel that it would be better to have something like a housing development next door to us rather than other things. We are very concerned right now about the possibility of a gas station being built again across the street at the corner of Posey Road and Old Bastrop Highway on the Trace development side. So lots of new development out there that, we are very concerned about how that's going to impact us. We are, however, happy to hear that the village at Posey Road has kind of gone back to the city and is now including some affordable housing. And frankly, we're hoping that they can start building as soon as possible. As some of y'all know, we have been planning to restore and replace the historic pillars that mark the 4 corners of our cemetery, including the 2 that are located on our shared property boundary. We can't begin restoration of that until the drainage and flooding infrastructure is completed, and the village at Posey Road is ready to do that. Thank you.
And John Mayberry will be our last speaker.
Hello, Mayor and Council. John Mayberry, 2505 Alston Lane. I'll be talking at the 6 o'clock meeting, but I just wanted to bring your attention to what I think is a copy of the preliminary draft restrictive covenant. If there's not a copy on your desk, I've got hard copies. I can hand them out. We'll talk about that in more detail. I also wanted to introduce a group and a company that you'll hear from, Project Management Associates. They're working with us. They are design and construction experts on data centers. 3 gentlemen in particular, R.B. Sloan, who is the former CEO of Pedernales Electric Co-op, David Swank, who's been the CEO of various utilities, and he sat on some city councils too, so I think he can relate to what you all are challenged with every meeting. And then Chuck Knight, who is a lead certified architect and is leading the lead effort on this project. So just wanted to introduce those gentlemen. They're going to be available for technical questions and any gaps in knowledge that I might have. Other than that, I'll talk to everybody at 6.
Okay, and Corey Nicholas, is he online? Okay, and Corey is next.
Mayor and City Council, my name is Corey Nicholas. I reside in Trophy Club, Texas, and own 50 acres on Posey Road in San Marcos. I'm here on behalf of item 4A. You're considering a PID for the Village of Posey Road in executive session. And I don't want to take a lot of time. I've stated quite a few things for the record before. I just wanted to clear up any confusion or misunderstanding that we continue. I just wanted to publicly state our continued support of the San Pedro Cemetery adjacent to our property. We worked closely with Dr. Ana Juarez and the other board members of the San Pedro Cemetery to come up with a plan of action, and we, fully intend to honor that commitment with them, as well as everything else that we've submitted through city staff, who've been amazing, absolutely amazing to work with. We appreciate their help and guidance and y'all's time. But again, I just wanted to publicly express our support and continuing commitment to assist our neighbors, the San Pedro Cemetery next to us, to improve their property, to secure their boundary fencing and other improvements that we've been discussing, and to honor the sanctity of the site in which the residents or the people who are laid to rest there are. And I just am available for any questions, and I believe you know how to contact me. Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Trevino, I believe that concludes our citizen comment. Okay. And that takes us to item 1.
Receive a presentation, hold discussion regarding the final results of the 2025 National Community Survey concerning the livability of San Marcos.
Ms. Reyes?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. In 2022, the City of San Marcos conducted the first community survey through the National Community Survey, NCS, to gather feedback from residents about the quality of life in San Marcos and satisfaction with city services. The survey provided a snapshot of community priorities and helped guide decision-making and budget planning. The City Council expressed interest in making this a recurring effort. The city's goal is to survey the community every 3 years to track trends and identify emerging needs. The results from the 2025 survey will allow the city to evaluate progress since the 2022 survey and ensure future planning and investments align with the evolving priorities of San Marcos residents. Today serves as an opportunity for us to discuss the community's feedback that we received. I'll now turn it over to Director of Communications and Intergovernmental Relations, Lauren Surley. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you all so much for letting us be here today. I'm really just going to be available for questions or any additional information that you need. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Grace Arneson, who has been our Polco contact and provided us with all the research on this community survey. So I'll pass it over to you, Grace.
Thank you, Lauren, and good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to be here to present the summary of findings from the San Marcos National Community Survey. Before I begin, I do want to take a moment to thank Lauren Surley and Nadine Chesick. They were our primary contacts throughout this process and provided thoughtful feedback every step of the way. This presentation will take about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll have some time for questions at the end. So first, a little bit of background on Polco and the surveys we administer. Polco is a community engagement platform used by hundreds of local governments nationwide to collect resident and employee feedback for strategic planning and budgeting. In 2019, Polco also merged with National Research Center, better known as NRC. And NRC is known for our benchmarking surveys, including the National Community Survey, or the NCS, the National Employee Survey, and the Community Assessment for Older Adults, among others. Polco also partners closely with ICMA and NLC, along with various local government and academic leaders. So I want to take a moment to highlight how these findings can be used. Most often, residents use this data to track resident trends, measure government performance overall, inform budgeting and strategic planning decisions, and we also have the ability to compare your community's ratings against communities with similar characteristics in our national benchmark database. So as we talk through these findings, our hope is that they spark ideas for where you might want to dig deeper. Next slide, please. So next, I'll briefly walk through the survey instrument itself. The National Community Survey, or NCS, is a standardized 5-page survey instrument made to help municipalities understand resident opinions. The survey focuses on the overall livability of San Marcos by organizing questions into 10 key facets, which are shown here. These facets were identified through extensive survey research as the areas that most influence residents' quality of life. And within each facet, the survey includes multiple questions to provide a well-rounded picture of how residents feel about their community and these certain elements. Finally, these facets tend to align with municipal departments, which makes it easy for you to find results you might look for. So before we dive into the results, a quick overview of the survey methodology. This was San Marcos' second time conducting the NCS following the iteration in 2022. We began with our address sampling process, so a list of households within the zip codes serving San Marcos was purchased from USPS, and using GIS boundary files provided by the city, we removed any households that were outside of those city limits, and from that final list, 3,500 households were selected to receive the survey. Mailings to these 3,500 households began on September 29th, and the survey remained open for about 6 weeks. The first mailing was a postcard inviting residents to take the survey, and that was followed by a survey packet, which contained a cover letter, survey, and postage paid return envelope. Finally, we sent a final reminder postcard. And all of these mailings did have a link to the survey and a QR code in case folks preferred to respond online. The survey was also available in both English and Spanish, and all mailings had instructions in both languages. A total of 225 completed surveys were received from those randomly selected households. This resulted in a 7% response rate and margin of error of plus or minus 6.5 percentage points. With these results, we also looked at the demographic profile of residents in San Marcos using census and ACS data, and we utilized those to weight the results to reflect the community as a whole and the actual demographic makeup of the community. In addition to the random mail-based survey, we had an online open participation survey that was open to all residents. That received about 1,095 responses, so great engagement there. But this presentation and the main report are based on those 225 responses from the randomly selected mail-based survey. Results from that open participation survey are included separately in the online report. Next slide. So as I mentioned, one of the advantages of our surveys is comparing to the national benchmark. We currently have about 400 communities in our database. And in addition to this national benchmark, San Marcos also received a custom cohort, which had communities with characteristics that more closely aligned with San Marcos. So a list of all of those custom comparison communities is included in the report, and I'll be referring to that throughout this presentation as the custom benchmark. Next slide. So now we'll dive into the survey results. Next. So in the survey, we asked 2 questions that ask directly about those 10 facets of livability I mentioned earlier. The first asks residents to rate the quality of each, and you can see the resulting comparison to the national benchmark in the shading of this chart. So you'll see here that natural environment, parks and recreation, and safety were among the highest rated community dimensions, while economy and mobility were relatively lower, with economy scoring below the benchmark. Next. The second question asks about these same 10 facets of livability, but it is centered on how important residents think it is for the community to focus on each of these items in the coming 2 years. So residents' top priorities were the natural environment, utilities, education, arts and culture, and parks and recreation. Items of lesser importance included community design and inclusivity and engagement. So we ask about both the quality and importance of each of these facets, and we use those answers to create the quality importance gap chart, which we'll see on the next slide. So we use this chart, which is also included in the report, to help determine areas of relatively higher importance and lower quality to residents. So this is one of many ways to interpret your data, but it can be used to identify key areas where a community might need additional focus or resource allocation. Areas with the widest gaps here, indicating lower quality and higher importance, included utilities, economy, and mobility. Next. And of those 122 survey items for which residents provided evaluative ratings, 4 received ratings that were higher than the benchmark, 100 were similar to the national benchmark, and 18 were lower. Since there were only 5 higher, I'd like to highlight those. They were San Marcos as a place to visit, the vibrancy of the downtown and commercial area, shopping opportunities, and water resources. Next. And as I mentioned earlier, San Marcos also elected to compare their results to a subset of communities within the National Benchmark Database that were more aligned with San Marcos. So I'll be referring to those as the custom benchmark. And here we have 9 higher ratings, 105 similar ratings, and 8 lower ratings. Next. Additionally, when compared to the previous survey iteration in 2022, we had 34 items that were statistically significantly higher than the 2022 results. 82 were consistent with the results, and 6 were trending downward. Next. So moving now into the highlights of our key findings, I just want to point out that these are what we found interesting as survey researchers, but the report is much more robust, so I encourage you to explore it. But our first key finding here, San Marcos is recognized as a desirable place to live, visit, and raise families. Next. About 8 in 10 residents positively rated the city as a place to live and the overall quality of life. In addition, about 8 in 10 residents plan to remain in the city for the next 5 years and would recommend living in San Marcos to someone who asked. All of these ratings were similar to the national benchmark and were relatively stable with 2022 results. Key finding number 2, results indicate that residents feel safe across the community. Next. About 9 in 10 residents expressed feeling safe in their neighborhood and in the downtown commercial area during the day. 7 in 10 reported feeling safe from property crime and violent crime. And about 2/3 felt safe from fire, flood, or other natural disaster, which was among some of the lower rated items in safety and lower than the national and custom benchmark. Next. When asked about safety services, about 9 in 10 residents positively rated fire services. More than 8 in 10 expressed satisfaction with ambulance and EMS services, a rating that improved since 2022. About 2/3 favorably viewed animal control. That also improved since 2022. And lastly, about 6 in 10 residents indicated that they were satisfied with fire prevention and education along with police services. Both of these were a bit lower than the national benchmark, and fire prevention and education decreased compared to 2022. Next. So mixed reviews for economy related items may merit additional research. Next. More than 8 in 10 residents were satisfied with San Marcos as a place to visit, and about 72% positively rated the vibrancy of the downtown and commercial area, a result that was higher than both the national and custom benchmarks and improved since 2022. About 6 in 10 residents favorably viewed the overall quality of business and service establishments and the variety of those establishments, while about half indicated satisfaction with San Marcos as a place to work. So now we get into some relatively lower ratings. About 3 in 10 residents positively rated affordable quality childcare and preschool at 30%, which was lower than the national benchmark. And that similar proportion, about 30%, positively rated the cost of living in the city, though this was similar to the national benchmark. Lastly, just about 22% expressed satisfaction with the availability of quality, affordable housing. Next. Key finding number 4, mobility experience vary across modes, reflecting both gains and declines. Next. So over half of residents, about 57%, were satisfied with the ease of travel by car, a rating that improved compared to 2022. About 4 in 10 residents rated the ease of walking positively. This was lower than the national and custom benchmark, but in line with 2022 results. Roughly 3 in 10 residents appreciated traffic flow on major streets. This was 35% and was lower than both the national and custom benchmark, but it was improving compared to 2022. Additionally, about 4 in 10 appreciated the ease of travel by bicycle. This was, or excuse me, not 4 in 10, 3 in 10. This was lower than the custom benchmark. And the ease of public parking was increasing, though it was lower than the custom and national benchmark. Lastly, the ease of travel by public transportation was valued by about 25%. This is in line with our national benchmark and 2022 results. Next. In terms of mobility services, about 6 in 10 residents expressed satisfaction with street cleaning and street lighting. That second rating did improve since 2022. About half were favorable with sidewalk maintenance, traffic enforcement, and traffic signal timing. It's worth mentioning here that traffic enforcement also had a statistically significant gain from 2022. Next. Civic engagement, pride, and government services show significant gains. Next. So here we have some really impressive results. More than 8 in 10 residents were satisfied with the overall customer service offered by city employees. This was increasing since 2022. Additionally, about 76% positively rated the job the city does attracting people from diverse backgrounds, which was higher than the custom benchmark. About 7 in 10 favorably viewed the sense of civic or community pride, which compared to 2022 has improved. And public information services at 63%, also improving since 2022. Lastly, about 6 in 10 residents were satisfied with the job the community does, making all residents feel welcome, while more than half were satisfied with the neighborliness of residents. All of these ratings here were on par with the national benchmark. Next. So in addition to those standard survey questions, we asked several custom questions that were unique to the city. And those are shown here, and we'll cover the data from these items in the next couple of slides. Next. So here we asked residents how often they leave the city to visit certain businesses, and residents reported frequently leaving for grocery shopping. Additionally, in a separate survey question, residents were asked what types of businesses the city should actively pursue, and that is the data that's shown here. So about 8 in 10 residents indicated that the city should actively pursue attracting more grocery stores. And they also prioritize family entertainment options at 83%, casual dine-in restaurants, boutique shopping options, upscale and fine dining options, and personal services such as salons, spas, or fitness centers. Next. We also asked residents how they currently receive information about the city, and the top utilized sources are listed here, which include word of mouth, the city website, direct mailings, the city newsletter, and San Marcos Hub, along with San Marcos social media. And then we also asked, when thinking about ways to engage with the city, what is your preference? And most residents here preferred to use online platforms or community events to participate. In-person town halls and neighborhood meetings were among the less preferable items. We also asked about the impact of river recreation to the city's natural environment. About 2/3 viewed it as essential for the city to focus on assessing and addressing the impacts of river recreation. About 22% rated it as very important, while 14% indicated it was somewhat important, while only about 2% expressed that it was not at all important. Next. And lastly, this slide shows resident opinions on the potential use of paid parking in the downtown area. As you can see here, reviews are mixed. So many residents see paid parking as a potential management tool, but there are also clear concerns about impacts to downtown businesses. So roughly 2/3 of residents agree that paid parking could help improve availability and turnover downtown, and a similar share felt it could be an effective way to manage the parking overall. Just over half also viewed parking as a necessary revenue source for the city. However, some concerns are notable here. About half of residents opposed using paid parking to discourage long-term parking near businesses, and nearly 7 in 10 believed that paid parking could negatively impact businesses downtown. So in summary, residents do recognize potential benefits, but there are some items that could be explored further. Next slide. So our final set of conclusions here: San Marcos is recognized as a desirable place to live, visit, and raise families. Results indicate that residents feel safe across the community. Mixed reviews for economy-related items may merit additional research. Mobility experiences vary across modes, reflecting both gains and declines. And civic engagement, pride, and government services show significant gains. With that, I want to thank you all. I know I went through that data very quickly, so I would like to open up the room for questions. Next slide, please. And if anyone would like to ask any questions via email, my email address is grace@polco.us. With that, I'll open up the room. Thank you.
Ms. Sarli, do you have anything to complete? Okay. Council, do you have any questions? Ms. Sarli, I would like to make sure that we're all clear on a couple of things. If you could step to the microphone. We did the mail out, or the mail out was done, but then there was an opportunity for folks to just jump in and answer the same questions. Is that correct? Okay, and would you remind us of how many numbers were in each one group? Approximately would be fine, but,
So out of the 3,500 mailed invitations, we received 225 survey responses back. And then we opened it up to everyone online, we received 1,095 responses.
okay, I was thinking 1,091. Okay, now, the information that Grace has just provided to us, that was of the statistically sent out 225 with some modifications depending on how many people, I'll just say old people versus young people. They tried to get it squared away so that it was more representative of the public. Is that correct?
That's correct. The
Okay.
results were weighted.
All right, okay. So, well, you can say results are weighted, but if we don't know how or why, that doesn't tell me what we're looking for. Okay, so if we want to see the results for the 1,095, we go to the link that's in the packet.
Correct.
And then we can find that information.
Correct.
Is there
Yes, ma'am.
anything that shows the two combined? I'm assuming not.
Not combined. I did receive another PDF of the open results, so I can provide that to you guys, and it will be available online as well.
Okay.
That will look
that's-
very similar to the official results.
That's great. Okay, yeah, I have gone in myself and put everything together for a particular question that we had of the 225, the percent, and then percent of the other, because I think we only got percent, not people, or people, not percent. Whatever it was, I put that in there because I was looking at those across. Didn't do it for everything, just for one particular item. That's not important at this point. Okay, council, I just wanted to make sure we had that explained and for the public so that we know exactly what we're looking at. So, Mr. Scott?
Help me out again. How were the results gathered, and who decided what the people would be for the survey?
The 3,500?
Yeah.
I'll pass that over to Grace and let her explain.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So we purchased a list of addresses serving the city from the USPS. From that list, we used GIS files provided by the city to essentially remove any households that were outside of those city boundaries, and then they were also assigned to a specific area that the city wanted to track. So from that list, we pulled our random sample of residents to receive the survey. So it originally came from the USPS, and then we pared it down from there using the city-provided GIS files, and then randomly sampling from that list.
Okay, so by USPS, you're talking about the United States Postal Service. So we're
Correct.
just looking for addresses that have a mailbox. And of course, there's many people with the San Marcos address that are not in the city, so that's why I used the GIS to overlay to make sure it was only people in the corporate city limits
That's
of our town. And then she just mentioned something about this area of town y'all wanted surveyed?
Yes, so we separated it out, and I don't know, Grace, if you want to go into this, you can, but we separated it out into quadrants to make sure that we were hitting every corner of the city evenly.
Okay,
And we used GIS data for that.
and that makes sense. Okay, Mr. Scott?
Well, it just looking at it, I don't feel it's very accurate, and I feel like it's jaded towards a particular side of the community. Because if you look at your first survey results, and you look at the flow down from it, some of the most important values and a lot of the people have struggled with and need help with are in the lowest setting. When that usually means, because that's not a requirement of people who have money. So it just seemed like it's very moneyed oriented, the people that got the surveys and the people that are minorities or whatever, and the socioeconomic status and lower, it seems like they're not represented here.
We do actually oversample multifamily households at about a 5-to-3 ratio compared to single-family households. So we do try to reach those groups that are typically a little more difficult to reach, but that is also the reason that we really try to match the demographic makeup of the community utilizing weighting. And that can be, details on weighting can be found in the report too, along with our weighting table. That shows for each of these demographic groups what the actual community makeup is based on the ACS and census data. And we essentially took the results from these different groups and gave them more weight to better align with the community's overall demographic makeup. So we do both oversample those multifamily households and weight results so that we can ensure that they are representative of the community as a whole.
And what is the ACS and why do we care about connecting with them?
Yes, that is the American Community Survey. So the American Community Survey and the census are the most trusted data sources in terms of demographics in US cities.
Okay. Well, I understand they're a big deal. I think it's important that if we're talking about, well, we connected with these people and we thought, you know, listening to them, I just thought it was good for the public to know why. Who are they and why?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying everybody needs to know what we're talking about here. And we start talking about a lot of acronyms and we don't define, you know, what we're talking about. It's not good.
Mayor, I have a question whenever.
Hold on a
whoever's
second.
next.
I've got Mr. Scott, I've got Mr. Lorenzo Gonzalez, and then I will come to you. Mr. Lorenzo Gonzalez?
So first of all, I just want to make sure I'm understanding the weighting correctly. So on page 6 of the report, it's showing that, for example, age 18 to 34, the unweighted percentage was 20%, weighted percentage was 61. So I'm understanding correctly, any results sent in from someone in that age group, essentially their voice was counted 3 times.
Exactly.
And then on the opposite end, 55 plus, the unweighted is 59%, weighted is 20%. So essentially their voice was counted as like 1/3 of a vote in order to get the weighted.
Yes, you are very close. So that is how we do it. But you have to keep in mind that every respondent has multiple demographic categories that they belong to. So they each receive a unique weight based on those. But yes, your general idea is correct. Thank you.
All right, cool. And so then kind of my second question is, I guess, 2-part. One, do we have the results based on like the geographical area that we split up, like you had mentioned? Like, do we know what the results were for each area of town? And then also, in seeing like this page where how everything was weighted, it doesn't look like that was one of the issues or one of the things that was weighted. So is it safe to assume that a majority of these answers could have came from people on one side of town versus another, or how did we account for that?
Yeah, so we actually did weight for those areas. We looked at the essentially the proportion of the community that was in each of those areas. So you'll see that in the weighting table, right underneath age, we have area there. And you can see how many responded from each quadrant, and then our resulting weighting for each of those quadrants as well. Those results by area can be found in the comparisons tab on Tableau. I don't think they're included in the printed version because they are a bit more interactive, but I'd be happy to connect with anyone who wants to dive deeper on those.
Okay, and regarding the quadrants, and it says area, and it's interesting that they're called Adam, Baker, Charlie, and David. I'm pretty sure I know why, but what are the 4 quadrants?
I can send you a map of it, but it's the 4 quadrants.
Who defined them?
GIS. It's what we have used in past GIS engineering studies.
Okay, and why are they called Adam, Baker, Charlie, and David?
A, B, C, D.
That's what I thought. But it just looks weird in this survey to go, well, is that the Adams survey area of town, or, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, it's now your turn.
Thank you. I don't want to echo everything they said, but I was thinking about the same thing they were thinking about, but since they said what I was going to ask. But I got another question. Can we break it down on people that done it online, what part of town or sector they came from?
Yes, that's done online as well. So if you visit the online report, you can see that as well there.
by any chance, do you remember what sector they came from? I'm just trying to figure out who's most likely to answer online and who's most likely to answer by mail.
Sure. Not off the top of my head, do I have those numbers,
Okay.
but I can provide that to y'all.
And that information you can provide for me?
Sure, yeah, it's
Okay.
all available.
Okay, and if someone of the 1,000 people, were they able to like print one and mail one in, or did it have to be online?
I'm sorry.
Of the 1,000 people
Mhm.
who voluntarily took it,
Oh, they could just do it online. It was just online.
it was only online and nothing else was offered?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you. I saw the link online. I'm not sure if my colleagues, if y'all tried it. Did it work for you?
I did not try it.
Okay. To really be able to see the 1,000+ people we're talking about, the link that was included. I'm on it right now, and I tried it last night as well, to click on the separate tabs. It didn't work.
Well, the
So-
survey's closed.
Yeah,
No,
are you
no, ma'am,
ta-
I'm talking about the actual report.
The Tableau?
Oh, you mean to look at it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you in the dashboard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if it's something on mine. I just wanted to flag that.
Yeah,
I'll
what,
take
what?
a look. I've looked at it multiple times online and it's worked each time, but that doesn't mean that it stopped.
Okay.
Are you in the Tableau part or the dashboard?
Mm-hmm. There's Tableau.
One or the other? Tableau?
Mhm.
Okay. I have not been
The
in there.
one entitled the NCS Report, San Marcos, Texas, 2025.
I've just got Discover Tableau Public is what I have here. So let me go. Yeah, that's what I get. I don't get us already set up
Mm-hmm.
pointing at anything.
Like you get the general cover page, the about, the explanation as to what the survey is. But when you try to select the individual tabs is where I don't find any data. And that was particularly important to me because when I did share this survey out with people who did not clearly receive the hard copy one in the mail, they did take the time, and of course, many said that took too long, but you try to encourage them to still finish it. But I was really interested to see those things, so when y'all, I guess, get it going, let me know.
Yeah, it's working on my end. I pulled it up right here and was able to.
And it might be a user failure on this end.
Let me send y'all a new link so that you have it.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, I think my colleague asked a question, but just from my understanding, so of those quadrants that y'all mentioned, is the online dashboard that we're gonna be sent the link for where I can find the percentage of responses from those areas? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
You have a question? Now would be the time.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I appreciate it. So from a basic program management perspective, and we've talked about this before back in the first survey, Maxfield and I talk about how it's important to distinguish between outcomes that the city intentionally worked towards and those that may reflect broader trends and external factors. So as a council, we want to be able to learn from the improvements that we're seeing right now that we have something to compare from 2022. So I guess my question is for staff. Can you walk us through any examples where survey findings were intentionally used to shape budget decisions or program priorities between 2022 and now? So I guess, in short, how did staff intentionally connect prior survey findings to specific goals and investments?
And I don't know that I can speak directly about finance and budget. I'll let City Manager Reyes. But I have two things if you want me to buy you some time for a second, since I'm putting you on the spot.
That's okay. I can answer. The one thing that I know that we've intentionally done is, and it's something that we've gotten even not just direction from this survey, but also from mayor and council during my evaluation and things. Y'all have asked for us to take a very big look at community engagement, and that was one of the efforts that showed higher gains. So community engagement was one area of focus. The other thing that y'all asked us to work on was customer service. And we took on a one city, one team initiative. And so that's another thing that where you see gains in customer service. So I can definitely say those are two areas that we really did a lot towards. Now, for the coming year, what we're planning on using this instrument for is council has asked also for town hall meetings. And so, in advance of your visioning session, so we're gonna use this as a basis for what we ask for more qualitative information to provide you not only this, but also any qualitative data and feedback that we would get from a community town hall, so that you have that information going into the values and priorities before you shape your 25 visioning goals and priorities. So that's how we're looking at this, and that's how we've used the data most recently.
And I believe that this is not coincidence that we're receiving this not too long before our vision workshop, correct? Enough time for us to digest it, and then I believe that last time we said that that's what we were gonna do. We were gonna take some responsibility in that and looking at these results and talking about what direction we want to go in, so.
And yes,
That's on us, council.
And yes, we will definitely also, like I said, we'll get the feedback from the town hall and bring that to y'all so that y'all can have that qualitative discussion versus just the quantitative information that you have here. We want to kind of dig a little bit deeper into some of these themes so that we can bring that information to you before your visioning.
Although town hall was only 10% of. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you. I appreciate you highlighting the ways that y'all addressed community engagement and customer service. I definitely think we have all seen staff make strides and big improvements to address that, so I appreciate it. And I wonder, how do staff imagine you'll address or try to measure the areas where we were rated less favorably, like consistently less favorably, right? So transportation,
Correct.
affordability. I feel like all those things, it's like we know that they're an issue, but do y'all have anything in mind when we talk about how we are gonna keep those as like targets, if we're gonna keep them as targets?
I think that's stuff that we're definitely going to want to talk with you about more during your visioning workshop. Based on available funding and budget, we're going to need to figure out what that looks like. The other aspect, because transportation and mobility, those are so much harder to tackle than some of the other initiatives that are within our control when it comes to, we can see more change happen more easily when it comes to customer service and engagement and things like that. The mobility stuff is going to be something that we'll definitely need to take some strategic approaches, long-term looks at how we do that. What does that mean? Looking at, is it sidewalks? Is it having more of the interurban bus? Is it having more transit? Is it having, just what does that look like? Is it having a rideshare program? I know those are things that we've talked about, but we have to look at what that looks like within the guardrails and the confines of what we have in available resources. But definitely we're ready to have the conversations with mayor and council about what kinds of things that we can look at together, what those visions mean, what those objectives mean, and what does success look like at the other end. What is the timing for that? Because again, those are gonna take longer to do but there may be some small things that we can do to try to make things a little bit better. One thing I know that's very difficult for us that we've realized is that, the university has recruited a lot of international students. And as some of us are guest speakers for those, classes and things like that, those are some of the questions that will come up, is the students will say, well, I'm an international student, but I don't really have a lot of, places how I can get around and all those other kinds of things. And we have brought that to the university administration because that is something that is a little bit of a disconnect. If there's going to continue to be that emphasis on international students who may come without cars, without the ability to get around, how do we work together, and what is the university's role in playing that with us? So it's more than just it being a city issue. It's us looking at how we work together with community partners to help us get that infrastructure to be a little bit more robust.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you talking with the university. I tell this story often, but when I came to San Marcos in 2008, I came with like $100 that my grandma slipped in my hands that she had saved up, and like that's it. I was waiting for my scholarship reimbursement, but I wasn't worried because in Laredo we have a really a good transportation system. And in my head, everybody had that. So I was like, well, I'll work. It's like not a big deal. And then I come to find out that there was no way for me to get to like the outlets, right? There was no way for me to get very far from downtown. We made it work. We worked on campus, which was actually a blessing in disguise. I loved it. But I do know that having these conversations has like helped increase different services. I know, we have the Bobcat tram going out to like the shopping centers now and stuff, and I see a lot of international students as well. So yeah, I appreciate you having those conversations with Texas State just to highlight our international students, but also our first gen working class Bobcats that come in here and they want to contribute to the local economy. They want to fill jobs. It's just difficult when you can't get anywhere. So thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments, keeping in mind that it's 4 o'clock? Let's see, none over here. Mr. Gonzalez.
So I had a question, I guess, specifically regarding students. So I know we had the quadrants, right? But on the online survey, the map that was shown had the 4 quadrants and then an additional area numbered 5 on the map, which is Texas State University. But the very first question that asks, in which area of San Marcos do you live in? It's area 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is Adam Baker, Charlie David, and then none of these / I don't live in San Marcos. So a student that lives on campus who would have seen the map, identified themselves as area 5, and then went to question 1, would logically choose none of these. But am I to understand that their results their survey results were thrown out because none of these also meant I don't live in San Marcos, and we threw out everyone that doesn't live in San Marcos? So in theory, none of the students were actually surveyed in this survey.
Yeah, that's a great question. Appreciate you asking. They would not have been thrown out, so we didn't throw out responses that fell into the none of these, I don't live in San Marcos area. Because we think that, college students or even folks who live outside of the city, who are coming into the city often and utilizing those city services, it's still worth hearing those voices. So they would not have been taken out, but I will certainly keep that in mind for next time that we need to have a specific area included for the university. I will say typically we don't include universities in our random sample survey because they tend to be getting those services from the university that they're at rather than the city. But if a student, for example, were to live off campus in the community, they had the chance to be included in that random sample.
I guess my bigger concern was the fact that, like, visually there's a map that has 5 areas, but then the question only allows you to choose areas 1 through 4. So if you lived in area 5, it was kind of confusing. Like, if anything, I think it would have been easier to not actually put the number 5 on there, because then visually people at the university, it looks like they fall into area 2, and it would have been easier to just select area 2. But since the number 5 was on the actual map, I think that may have caused confusion and caused people to say they don't live in San Marcos when they do. They just don't live in one of the 4 quadrants.
Ms. Surley, if the city is divided into 4 quadrants lettered, I'm not seeing, I don't know where the map is that Mr. Gonzalez is speaking
So on
about.
the actual survey, like, which the survey is closed, but you can still see it. It just doesn't let you fill it out. There's a map at the very beginning, and then question 1 is which of these 4.
I caught all that. I need to ask Ms. Surley a question, and then we can go back to what you're talking about. What is this area 5? Why would there be something on there that's not one of the 4 quadrants? Yeah, because this is problematic. I mean, you have an excellent point, Mr. Gonzalez. I'm just trying to find out why a map would have been presented that way that would have potentially excluded people that we don't want to exclude. Now,
Sure.
I'm assuming that none of these were sent to dormitories.
That's correct. I do want to say, though, however, that the time frame that we presented this survey was done very intentionally, and it was done obviously not during summer, so that we would get
Right.
some Texas state responses, and not done during a Christmas or school break.
Right, right. And that's always a good thing, okay. All right, something to think about next time, because, again, we don't want to miss anybody. Mr. Gonzalez?
Well, I was gonna say, I just copy and pasted the map and responded to the email you just sent, so.
Okay, thank you, I'll take a look.
Yeah, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's supposed to be A, B, oh, I am sorry. A, B, C, D is in the upper right corner with a wholly different color code, and then it says Texas State University. Yeah, this is real problematic. But
can-
something that's fixable.
Sure, and we'll work with GIS on that.
Okay. Thank you for sending that, Mr. Gonzalez. Is there anything else?
Thank you for the hard work.
Anything? Okay. Ms. Reyes, do you need anything from us? Okay, then that closes out item 1, and we're moving on to item 2.
Receive a staff presentation and update on the Office of Community Support and Resource Navigation and Participatory Budgeting.
Ms. Reyes.
During the 2025 visioning session, City Council added a new strategy to establish an office focusing on underlying factors contributing to crime such as poverty, lack of education, and limited access to mental health services. To advance this directive, the fiscal year 2026 budget included staffing and operational funding necessary to establish the Office of Community Support and Resource Navigation. The following presentation provides an update on the creation of this office and also covers one of the office's outreach initiatives by outlining the proposed schedule and parameters of the participatory budgeting process. I will now turn it over to Mrs. Grisel Bettis-Carey, Office of Community Support and Resource Manager. Thank you.
Update on the Office of Community Support and Resource Navigation, as well as seek council direction on the proposed plans for participatory budgeting. All right, there we go. The Office of Community Support and Resource Navigation was developed to collaboratively address underlying factors contributing to crime by developing holistic, proactive solutions and community-driven initiatives. This office is housed within the city manager's office and will work collaboratively with staff across the city as well as our community partners. As we looked at an approach and structure, we wanted to create something that would enable us to build upon the strengths, experiences, and resources across our collective networks to develop and tailor creative and responsive initiatives that offer or foster positive impact here in the community. To guide and operationalize this work, we've developed a leadership advisory group and operational work group comprised of the departments listed on the slide. The operational work group will grow to include community partners based on the areas of focus and outcomes that we are working towards. As the work of the office continues to take shape, it could be found within these 4 general categories, of which the following slides will provide examples of. Data insights and metrics can include things such as data analysis of existing data, such as crime data, fire inspection, code, community survey results, and feedback that we'd receive from listening sessions and town halls. Community Insights and Investments is a collaborative project with GIS to provide staff with insights on the community and mapping where the city is directly and indirectly investing. This also includes exploring the use of risk terrain modeling to identify vulnerable areas and risk factors to enable staff to target or focus those risks. Programs and initiative development will entail the co-creation of programs, testing, and refining solutions in partnership with our community partners. Support and engagement encompasses a continued effort at fostering meaningful connections and touch points with our neighbors through the launch of town halls and participatory budgeting, as well as strengthening our own capacity to better support needs and opportunities. Resource navigation includes the direct support for neighbors through calls, emails, and in-person visits, as well as coordinating resource fairs, the Know Your Resources campaign, and hosting and supporting workshops and clinics that connect residents to critical support. Over the past few months, we've held introductory meetings with our internal partners, launched the skeleton of the Know Your Resources campaign, begun reviewing data that we have, and begun exploring the use of risk terrain modeling. As we look to 2026 and next steps, we will be rolling out community town halls in January, inviting our community members to share their vision for San Marcos. Those are scheduled for January 8th and 14th. We will also be working to clearly and explicitly define goals for the 3 to 4 areas that we will be initially focusing in on, deepening our understanding of those conditions to begin collaboratively identifying and activating solutions. Throughout this process, we're committed to providing counsel in the community with frequent reporting on progress. As we look to increase opportunities for community members to actively participate and engage in the budget processes for the city, we will be introducing participatory budgeting. Participatory budgeting is an opportunity for our community members to directly propose and decide how a portion of funding is spent. Our neighbors will be asked to participate by submitting project ideas, volunteering to develop a full project proposal, voting on the final project they want to see in the community, and by spreading the word on opportunities throughout the entirety of the process. To be eligible, projects must enhance the community, be located in San Marcos, be open to the public, accessible, low maintenance, a one-time expenditure, and not exceed the allocated funding of $200,000. Programs and services cannot be funded. While we hope and encourage our community to submit a variety of projects, some examples include ADA ramps, bus pads, sidewalks, and projects that increase accessibility to our parks, such as accessible routes to playgrounds, playground servicing, picnic tables, and benches. The proposed participatory budgeting process timeline takes us through idea collection in February, a feasibility review in March, project proposals in April, voting in May, and project implementation throughout the remainder of the year. I'd like to take the opportunity to dive a bit further into each of these phases. Outreach will span the entire process using various methods to share information on participatory budgeting broadly and during each phase. This includes social media, newsletters, having a presence and information at events, open houses, presenting or speaking to community organizations and the neighborhood commission, print material at city facilities, on library receipts, bus shelters, and local businesses. Community members will have the opportunity to submit project ideas via online or paper form. Paper forms will be made available at City Hall, the library, and utility billing. Submission forms will have space for people to share their project idea and its location, request their contact information, and ask in what ways they're interested in continuing to participate in the process. This visual is of the online project idea collection form that is computer, tablet, and smartphone friendly and will allow submitters to zoom in and out of the map. The paper form will mirror this with spaces for project idea and description and offer a static map. As we close the project idea collection phase, staff will conduct a feasibility review in March. Ideas will be reviewed by staff to confirm they meet project parameters, align with environmental, zoning, and legal constraints, and are not currently in development or in the queue for future projects. Staff will also consider ways to leverage additional resources and timelines to increase project impact. All submitters who provide contact information will receive an update on the status of their project submission. Those who submit project ideas that do not move forward will be provided with a reason. The project proposal development phase is intended to be led by community volunteers with support and assistance from staff. During this phase, volunteers will take ideas and develop project proposals. Volunteers will also play a pivotal role in the messaging on each proposal to be shared with the community ahead of voting. The number of groups is dependent upon the number of project ideas and neighbors who are able to serve as volunteers. Staff will facilitate meeting space and times, provide technical assistance, and aid in the communication flow with content experts. During the voting phase, residents will be asked to rank their top choices within the budgeted amount. Voting will be conducted online via the prioritized platform and paper ballots. Paper ballots, again, will be available here in City Hall, the public library, and utility billing. Residents will be asked to only vote once and provide their name and contact information. Winning projects will be announced in June and worked into project workflows. Project updates will be provided on the participatory budgeting webpage and shared out with those who indicate interest in receiving updates on their project. And with that, today I'm seeking council approval for the proposed participatory budgeting process as outlined.
Council, questions, comments, and then we'll end our discussion with this question right here. First, I'm going to say thank you to everyone who's been involved, everyone who's going to be involved.
Yes.
That was a long list of city departments, and there may be others outside that will be of assistance, so that was good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Comments? Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Carissa. When we talk about sort of, I guess let me start off with, have y'all started these meetings when we talk about highly collaborative, sort of what do those meetings look like thus far?
Very introductory at this point, and so we had folks from the work group who were more in tune with some of the conversations than others, and so we were able to really start at ground level and explain also that it's a slow, measured approach. It will be difficult, right, and we will have to learn, grow, pivot, and so really it's been a lot of answering questions and as folks kind of grasp what it is that we'll be doing and what projects will be a part of it.
And, you know, as somebody who really championed this whole office, I definitely want to preface everything that I say with this is going to be, to your point, a marathon style of work. When we talk about addressing the root causes of crime, these are things that have been around forever, that go far beyond us as just a local government. And so there is a level of grace that I have with, you know, seeing this through. So I guess, you know, when we had this conversation in January of this year, during visioning, one of the things when we talked about sort of why this was necessary, was that you have people who wish to, you know, really access resources, but perhaps sometimes out of fear on who, when I go seek these resources, who are you collaborating with then, sort of acts as a deterrent to seeking those. And so, you know, when we talk about preventative care, mental health, poverty, whatever it may be, I guess when we talk about collaborative work and external partners is really the one I'm focusing on. Are we looking at it as sort of an approach including even the school district, the Hays County Public Health Department? Are we also looking at those avenues as well?
Yes, absolutely. And so I want to make sure that it is truly multidisciplinary. It's really bringing all of the partners to the table.
And as far as like evaluation of the efforts that we're taking to ensure that, you know, we're making this the most accessible and successful thing as possible, what is the evaluation of sort of what we're going to do? How frequent is that going to take place? What will that look like?
I think that it'll depend upon the focus area, and so we've had conversations about using risk-trained modeling and the action hub that they have, and so as we kind of chart that, we'll be able to say, and our goal is to be working concurrently, you know, on different areas, and so that may look different. So our goal is to provide monthly updates in this first year as we kind of ramp up, and then after that, quarterly updates or as needed.
Okay. And Mr. Anderson, I know you briefly in our homelessness committee, we talked about sort of that modeling, how to use data to tailor our responses and approaches. When we talk about the collaboration with the police department, what will that look like?
So risk terrain modeling has been around since 2009. It was developed by Dr. Joe Kaplan out of Rutgers University. And it really is a method that maps environmental risk factors where harm is likely to occur. And so really you're looking at the underlying conditions. And when you look at those underlying conditions, it's just not the PD. It may be code compliance, it may be fire, it may be planning, it may be zoning, conversations that need to take place. It's mostly being used in criminology spaces, but just really over the last 5 to 10 years, it's mostly being used in public health and community planning, kind of what we're talking about now. And so it focuses on environmental risk factors. That could be land use, that could be liquor stores, that could be lighting issues, that could be parking lots, that could be social services, deserts as well too. It could even be block design as well too, vacant lots, abandoned buildings and parks. And so even when you look at some of the cities that utilize it before, from a Dallas perspective, I was there, we rolled it out in December 2018. We actually partnered with a nonprofit Child Poverty Action Lab to really look at access for children when it comes to activities. But even St. Louis utilized it from a vacant property standpoint. Chicago has utilized it from a foreclosure standpoint. NYC has utilized it from a housing, transit authority, and nightlife economy. And so basically, it's all about places. It's not about people. That's what makes it not punitive. You're basically you're gathering spatial data. You're analyzing those factors that correlate to harm. You're assigning weight to that validated factor, and then you're assigning that to a risk map. And once you do that, then you have micro places for engagement and opportunity for prevention strategies. And so that's what is important. So it's a multidisciplinary approach. And when I was thinking about this office, we initially, in my past life, wrote it out in the police department, but since we adopted it in the ordinance, and it's now in the ordinance, and the whole city utilizes RTM. And so I believe this would be a great platform, not only from the analytical still, but just in the last 2 to 3 months, they have created an action hub to where there's one operating system for everyone to share what's needed to form decisions and drive action with precision. And so that's where you coordinate all your resources and your partnerships. Those partnerships are internal, but also external. External partners will have access to this program if we choose to do that as well too. So right now I'm collecting, I'm actually putting together some type of document. I anticipate having this document to where I can share with council here at the end of the week. And that Dr. Joe is planning to, from a virtual standpoint, join our next homeless meeting to be able to show the dashboard and the action hub and show you exactly how it works.
And we understand, you know, the police department will help us with the crime analysts and folks like that just to get us data. But like Mr. Anderson said, this is going to be a multidisciplinary approach. And I just want to mention that we're very thankful that we have Mr. Anderson's experience and skill set, his background to help us with trying to figure out all of these different facets, because it is a very complex thing that we're wanting to look at and understand. And so that's one of the things is that we have told Grisel that I know, you know, it's hard because these are very tough issues and she's not on her own. We have a support system around her. And so Mr. Anderson is one of the people that I put kind of as a very key kind of a guide, if you will, to help us through getting the kind of the determining what those outcomes are, what are the low-hanging fruit, what are the things that we can do more easily, what are the things that are going to be more difficult and that kind of thing. So we're working through all of that stuff together, and I feel very confident knowing that we have Mr. Anderson to help lead the way on it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, when we talk about highly collaborative, and just to close, you know, of course, one of our primary duties up here to do is sort of address these things in a fiscal way. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously, as throughout the course of this next year, as we see this thing sort of kick off, the hope is that as that year sort of comes to an end and we begin our budget process in September or October of next year, almost having a report in line with that so that the decisions that we make fiscally are sort of congruent with both things. I imagine that many of the things that are going to be exposed through this office as far as needs being identified are going to need some fiscal response. Oftentimes, though, as we've seen, advocating from this side of things without the data to substantiate that, you know, people almost treat it as like idealistic, but they need some response. And so as long as we can have that in congruence with that, it would be much appreciated as we roll out.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you for all y'all's work. And I know we're also talking about participatory budget, but just to not confuse people, I'll wait to see if anybody else has anything on the community support.
Does anybody have something? Okay.
You're
It's on me.
first or second, and we'll see who else indicates that they want to say something.
Cool. First, thank you for beginning to imagine what an Office of Community Support and Research Navigation might look like. I appreciate the very clear breakdown. I know my former colleague Max and I have been daydreaming and/or pestering about this for a while, but I just wanted to name the recent strides that the city has made towards understanding like the underlying causes of crime up until this point, right? So like city staff's participation and like the BAC committee, the Mental Health Advisory Committee, and just like on countywide conversations regarding diversion and stuff like that. I think that we have been building on this idea for a while, and it's cool to see that it is now going to be like a physical space with like a game plan to unpack this further. And I really do appreciate all of the mention about partners and collaborative approach and all that. But I guess, can you clarify how community partners will be selected? And like their role beyond consultation?
So it'll be dependent upon what the focus area is. And so I know that on the message boards, there was the question about what community partners, and so it really will depend. So we certainly want to have an open table to those that want to contribute. And really it is, I view them as partners in developing solutions that work, right? And so, and leveraging our partnerships, our experiences. Something that I've continued to think about is at what point do we pull in our recipients of services, right? And so they have a better understanding of what that looks like, right? And so I think that it'll look different for every area that we touch on.
Okay, cool, yeah, just throwing this out there. The county has their adult and, I guess, youth mental health group, right, Chief? And they have participation from different stakeholders who do that type of work regarding mental health. And as we know, there's a deep intersection between mental health and incarceration and crime and whatnot. So that might be just something to keep put towards your Rolodex.
Perfect, thank you.
They work with interfaith groups as well that work alongside directly impacted individuals. And I just wanted to reiterate, at least for me, I don't know how my colleagues feel, the importance of when you are looking for partners, endeavoring to bring in those that have been directly impacted, but either those impacted by crime or those who impacted by incarceration, and usually we see a big overlap between those two. So, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Ms. Rodriguez? Thank you for your question. It actually made me think of something. So for those who don't know, we have the PID count coming up in January.
And the PID is?
Point in
Mary,
time.
Point in time. Thank you, Mayor. The reason I bring this up is because I know that people will actually survey people who are homeless in our community. Oftentimes, this is a population that does not get surveyed and often needs some of the highest level of services. I'm wondering, when we talk about collaboration, and maybe this is something the Homeless Coalition can tee up for y'all, or we can work together on it, but of the people who are going to survey San Marcos, maybe seeing if like in that survey we can get perhaps some questions on maybe identifying like what services are you needing, sort of, and we can tailor the questions, but using that opportunity. I know that per HUD there are certain questions required.
Right.
And I get that. But I'm wondering if, in addition, like a bonus question that we're purely collecting the information for.
Like we did with Polco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Other communities have done that. I will say that it's just difficult for folks to go out and actually find people to survey.
Oh,
It has been
100%,
historically.
yeah.
But I do think that what I'm hearing from the PowerPoint is that you guys are approaching things like imaginatively and like creatively, and I think that's a good example.
That's a great way.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
2-for-1 type of thing.
Yeah, especially because like when you look at, not to bring up well, I guess to bring it up, the the rating on affordable housing, right? 22%, I think, was the figure of actual favorability. And that's horrific. I think it probably mirrors what we're seeing nationally as well. And so, yeah, doing things like that, or even really connecting, as you mentioned, with some organizations like Southside, serving their residents as well, would be another great one. So thank you for all your work. Thank all of the staff that have really taken this under your wing and are going to make it happen.
It's Santa.
Be nice if it was. Ms. Reyes, would you give a very brief explanation of what the Core Four is? Because I'm going to say that was a little tiny toe in the water, or maybe a whole foot in the water of this effort that was started many years ago. Just briefly.
Yes, so the Core Four is the main entities within San Marcos that are governmental entities or quasi-governmental. City of San Marcos, Hays County School District, and Texas State University. And so the Core Four got together because it was like, there's some issues that are core to all four entities, and how can we work collaboratively together to have that greater sense of community and understanding how we tackle problems. And so one of the initiatives was for universal pre-K. And so that was an education initiative. And so universal pre-K was provided. I actually had the pleasure of working on that group and getting that moving forward. We also undertook a youth master plan. And the biggest things that had come out of that were universal pre-K is also out-of-school time activities. And so the Core Four continues to work even when it comes to our youth initiatives. So the City of San Marcos currently funds 1/2 of a position through Community Action, and then the other Core Four entities, the other 3 entities, fund the other 1/2. And so that is Cristal, who is with the Community Action. And so she undertakes different efforts with the Youth Task Force and other efforts. So that's the one that really has stuck and stayed together when it comes to Core Four working together. There were some things that were looked at with economic development and those other kinds of things that aren't necessarily still alive in the same way. But those Core Four initiatives with the youth are still moving forward, and we still do have that partnership where we all participate.
And thank you for all the work you did on those back in the day. So I know that was the majority, you were the majority of most of that. So thank you.
Then now Jessica Ramos and all the other people who've taken it forward. So it's been amazing to see that carry forward.
Okay, council, any more questions about the office, thoughts, concerns? If not, we need to give a yay or nay on this item. This goes into the participatory budgeting process. It has been clearly explained to us. Are y'all good with what has been proposed?
I just had a question about the process. As far as the feasibility review, if a resident's project idea is deemed to be not feasible, will they be given an opportunity to amend it, or is it just gonna be like not gonna work and we move forward?
I think it depends on what it is. If it's something that we know is a $2 million, expenditure, I don't know that they could work through that. But if it's little things here and there, we could certainly work with them. I think part of it too is when it goes to that full group, right? When they're discussing those ideas, I think that there's ways for some of that to also come out.
Okay, I got a yes from Mr. Mendoza. Yes is on this side, 3 yeses on this side. How about this other side? Yes.
Yes, with just a short caveat, when we talk about outreach, I know we have a digital, in-person, and print option. Perhaps when we're first beginning outreach, a method could be included to actually go door to door. How we do that spanning over the entire city to identify like particular areas is to be determined, because I know we don't have a lot of people doing that. But just something to think about. I know a lot of people don't see many of these options. And then per our survey as well, somebody who's a fan of Town Hall and who's actively advocated for it, it is clear though to the survey's point that not everybody prefers it.
I like it too, but.
Yeah, that not everybody prefers that option, and so maybe some online options as well for engagement. So, yeah. But, yes, Mayor, to your question.
Going door to door is fun. Saul, Amanda and I went door to door for that.
People are really receptive, and it's an opportunity to also get a lot of responses about various city services that they also want addressed as well. And so, yeah, it was
time consuming though, man,
like
especially with this one.
Yeah, it's like little one-on-one town halls.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think we came back with a list about this big of things that they want addressed.
That's always that way, yeah. Okay, so I will be the 7th yes. here, so I will say, go forth and work on it.
Sounds good. Thank you all.
Thank you. No pressure. All right, let's go to item 3, Ms. Trevino.
Receive a staff presentation and status update on the FM 110 Connection Drive project.
All right, Ms. Reyes?
Final work session presentation is an update on the status of the FM 110 Connection Drive project, including the relocation and restoration of the historic Graham Air Traffic Control Tower, as well as a recommendation to name the new road. Staff shared a memo with council on this matter on October 9th, 2025. Please note that this does not include renaming any portion of the existing Airport Drive, and since it is a new street, this process does not follow the guideline of renaming an existing street found in our code section 74.056. Without further ado, I will turn it over to our presenter, Engineering Project Manager Tim Wilson, for the presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Tim Wilson. I'm with the Engineering and Capital Improvements Department. I'm here today to present an update to you on the FM 110 Connection Drive project, which now includes a proposal to relocate the historic air traffic control tower, and then we'll also touch on the naming of the new roadway. So a quick background on the project. On the left side of the screen here, you see an aerial view. We will be realigning Airport Drive, which is the current entrance to the airport off of SH-21, be installing a roundabout, and then the new piece is this western leg, which is the connection directly to FM 110. So it'll be providing a second entrance into the airport. In 2024, the city received a grant from the U.S. Economic Development Administration in the amount of about $3.5 million, and of that, 30% is our obligation as the local match. In April of this year, we received 100% design plans from Garver Engineers, and Garver's cost estimate came in about $500,000 under budget. So at that time, we began investigating the possibility of using that excess capacity in the grant to fund the relocation and restoration of the historic air traffic control tower. The first thing that we did was take that proposal to the Historic Preservation Commission in October of this year, to see if they would even consider allowing us to relocate the historic tower. And ultimately, the Historic Preservation Commission did grant us a certificate of appropriateness to relocate the tower. The aerial here shows the current location of the tower near the tarmac and the proposed relocation to the roundabout of the FM 110 Connection Drive project that I just described. So the benefits for relocating the tower include being able to restore the tower with the use of the EDA grant. It also creates a focal point for the roundabout and the new airport entrance, and it frees up valuable space along the tarmac of the airport for future development. The second piece to this presentation today is the naming of the new roadway. So again, the western leg of the intersection that's in the white box here is the new driveway connection to FM 110. Texas Aviation Partners sent out a survey on November 4th of this year to airport stakeholders requesting recommendations. From that survey, they received 45 responses, which included 24 unique road names. The Airport Advisory Board met later that month on November 20th to review the results, and they provided a recommendation of Carruthers Way with a backup, if you will, of Aviation Way. On that same day, the Texas Aviation Partners sent out a second poll to stakeholders with just those two options to gather a second result, and it confirmed the advisory board's recommendation. They received 78? My eyes are failing me. 78 votes for Carruthers Way and 28 votes for Aviation Way. So you already heard from Rob Carruthers during the citizen comment period, but I'll quickly give you a highlight. Lieutenant Colonel George C. Carruthers was a highly decorated Air Force veteran with 30 years of service. We were told he did train here at San Marcos Army Airfield. He married his first wife, Mary Lou Faye Bales of San Marcos, at the First Baptist Church of San Marcos. After her passing, he remarried to Marilyn Gaddis, a professor of education at Texas State University, and then he passed away earlier this year in March. So we are seeking direction from you, council, on two items here. One, do you concur with the plan to relocate and restore the historic Graham Air Traffic Control Tower? And then secondly, having received the recommendation from the Airport Advisory Board, what is council's preferred name for the new roadway? Carruthers Way was the primary recommendation, Aviation Way was the backup, or do you have another preferred name? And then before we get into discussion, I'll just say the next steps here, we will be coming back to you next month. We will provide a resolution to formally adopt the name following your recommendation. And then we will also come with a change in service number 4 to the contract with Garver so that they can prepare the plans for the relocation of the tower, should you concur with our plan to relocate it.
Okay, if we could go, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's go back one slide, please. And council, looking for questions, concerns, anything, and whenever you're ready to give me the answer to both of these questions, you may do so. Mr. Gonzalez.
So my answer to number 1 is yes. As far as the naming, I guess agree in spirit with the recommendation, but I would actually prefer and recommend a longer renaming. So my preference would be Lieutenant Colonel George Carruthers Way rather than just Carruthers Way. I think if we're gonna honor Lieutenant Colonel Carruthers, we should do it fully and not just put his surname, but actually name it after him.
I have you recorded. Mr. Mendoza?
Thank you. So I was actually lucky enough to be in attendance for that meeting. It was thoroughly discussed as to how long the name should have been, and the examples got abrupt, like Edward Gary Boulevard that we have here. Instead of giving his exact, with all due respect, it's absolutely amazing that you're able to reach that level, but just for easement, just for easy to write addresses and stuff like that. I mean, we do understand Lieutenant Colonel, it's amazing. But during that board, they just kind of decided, well, if we don't do it for Edward Gary, not any disrespect, but it's just easier as far as addresses and things like that. That was how they got to that point, without using the whole name.
Actually, that street is named Edward Gary.
It is, but yes, ma'am, instead of using his entire
You're talking
rate.
about the military titles.
Yes, ma'am.
As well as Hutchison.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well
That was the only reason why they got to that.
To that, then drop the title, but still name it George Carruthers Way or George C. Carruthers Way. My whole point is to put his name, not just.
Make it
Oh, that's
clear
cool.
that Carruthers is a person of
Right.
significance and somebody that could be, I hate to say it, someone, you could Google that and find out who the gentleman was.
Correct.
I actually, I'm in favor of both, but I do agree with my colleague here is, if council's okay to actually use the full name, maybe leave out the rank, but we could definitely use the full name. Would be another way to completely honor this gentleman.
You said okay with both. That means relocate the tower.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want to see at least George Carruthers.
I'd like to see that name. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Others with opinions? Mr. Scott, I'll need that in the microphone. Where do you want to go with this?
Yes, and full name for Carruthers Way.
For George Carruthers, okay? On this side?
I'm fine with Carruthers Way.
With just Carruthers Way or George Carruthers Way?
Whatever, as long as his name's in it, I don't care.
As long as it's got Carruthers in it? And you're good with the relocation?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Rodriguez, are you good with both of these?
100%. I just wanted to know, I know the packet briefly touched on it. How was the name? Like, do we have a list of names of veterans who have served here or that are from here with like certain, I just want to know like the process. I imagine there's probably going to be other roads, so just out of curiosity.
There are lists. As a matter of fact, there's a section of Trace that is named after military folks of distinction in our community. And those names, I'm trying to remember if they have the military title or not. Same for, I think Pena Park is just Pena, but you're good with the Carruthers. And we just, and you'd like to know about, do we have a list in the bank for the future? Is that what you're asking? Which I think is a great question.
Actually, and thank you for asking that. That was brought up also when they were talking on the board. So there is a list, so apparently that group of individuals would prefer to go that route. For those that are listed here, those who trained here of local veterans, that's definitely on the forefront of their mind of future naming.
Maybe we can just have a bank of names on the website, and when
Absolutely. How they got that,
developers
I have
come
no
in and they're
idea.
needing names, maybe we could just let them know that that exists. Ms. Garza?
Wait, so what was the rationale of not having the first name? I mean, I don't care either way, I just.
I think simpler and shorter
Just
on the maps.
Simplicity and precedent. Hutchison Road is just Hutchison, doesn't include title or first name.
Oh, well, there's a lot of streets in town
Sure.
that don't have somebody's first name.
Sure.
I'm fine with whichever version the majority wants.
Okay, and I'm going to go with, and you're good with relocating the tower?
Sure.
Okay, I'm good with relocating the tower. I'm very enthusiastic about naming it Carruthers Way. I like the idea of getting at least George Carruthers in there, but here's what I really think is important, is that there be a plaque somewhere. I don't think we can put everything, all of his accomplishments and all the things that he went through, but I think we need something of significance somewhere
Right.
on the airport property, because it's really frustrating when you see a name,
Yeah.
well, like the one that runs in front of Mendez.
You're
I
trying
don't
to
remember who Peter
figure
Garza
out-
is, and you're not gonna find it on the school website either. So again, back to the project, we need to have a list of these names and who these people were. So anyway, I'm gonna leave that. Are y'all good with that? Have something of more,
Yeah, plaque
Yeah.
and the website too, because that's the
Absolutely.
first thing I'm gonna try to look up, like,
Yep.
what's the T?
Also, I'm sorry about your loss. I saw that it was in this year.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that. My
Yes.
condolences.
so I think where we have landed, we're good with relocate, restore the tower.
Wait, will we have a unveiling event?
I think there ought to be at least a
Have a
ribbon
ribbon
cutting.
cutting.
Yes, cool. I really enjoyed the one for Winton Porterfield. It was so nice. So I hadn't attended one of those.
Yes, and I think we have all landed on at least George Carruthers Way. I know that's a little long, but I think it's worthy. I think we're all good with that here. We'll leave the military title off, but that will certainly be included in whatever we end up doing with a plaque, and, it can go on the website now if there's not already something about Lieutenant Colonel Carruthers, who is very, very distinguished military career. So are we good with this one? Ms. Reyes, is there anything else you need from us? Okay, so, Ms. Trevino, we're gonna go on to item 5. Thank you, and thank you again, Mr. Carruthers. We appreciate it.
The city council will convene an executive session pursuant to section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code, Economic Development, to deliberate regarding possible incentives related to A, the Village at Posey Road Public Improvement District, and B, the Whisper South Public Improvement District.
Looking for a motion? Motion by Ms. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Scott. Ms. Trevino, let's vote.
Mr. Saul Gonzalez? Mr. Saul Gonzalez?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Garza? Aye. Mayor Houston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Mr. Mendoza?
Aye.
Mr. Lorenzo Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Ms. Rodriguez?
Aye.
The motion passes 7-0.
All right, we're going into executive session at 4:48. Council, take your bio break and proceed directly to. Have concluded our executive session at 5:50. Mr. Trevino, are any of the people who signed up for Q&A, which was a subset of the people who had signed up for citizen comment, are any of them still?
No,
No?
I don't see any.
Okay. I'm thinking that they probably got done what they
Hold on,
needed to
ma'am.
get done.
Sorry, it's Ana Juarez. Let me move her over real quick. Sorry, there she is.
Ana Juarez, did you want to speak at
Yes, thank you.
Be
I
fast.
just wanted to, I just wanted to let you know, if you have any questions or concerns about San Pedro or the PID, I am here to, to answer any questions. So I just wanted to let you know that I was available for that.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to close out Q&A with press and public, and having no more items on our agenda, I'm going to adjourn us at 5:52. We will be back for the regular meeting at 6 p.m.